In Team Fortress 2, the term subclass usually refers to a playstyle within an existing class, where specific weapons and loadouts can change the way you approach the game. They often take a core class and tweak its mechanics, giving it a fresh and new way to experience the game, while staying within the confines of the original character. But what if instead of being part of an existing class, they were their own standalone characters? What if instead of just a unique playstyle, we had an entirely new class with its own set of weapons and abilities? Take Demoknight, for example. Instead of sticking to the standard Demoman loadout with stickies and a grenade launcher, the Demoknight focuses on using a shield and its melee weapons, drastically changing its playstyle. It's a unique twist on the traditional Demoman role, but what if this shift in playstyle could have been more than just a variation? What if instead of being a subclass, Demoknight could have been its own full-fledged class? Well, the Demoknight already has a solid foundation. There are 3 distinct shields, each with its own advantages and unique playstyle, and multiple sword options, drastically changing how you play. This gives a surprising amount of flexibility, which leads me to ask, what if instead of being items for the Demoman, Demoknight were to have been added as its own unique Knight class? Let's take a look, shall we? The default stats for this class will just remain the same as the regular Demoman. Demoknight is already balanced as it is, for the most part, so changing them for this new Knight class would not be necessary. What would be necessary, however, is figuring out what would the stock loadout be. And the primary slot would obviously be the booties, since it's the only option. The secondary slot should most likely be the Charge and Targe, since this is the shield you normally unlock first, being the Demoman Milestone 1 achievement. Now, choosing a stock melee weapon for this brand new class would be a tough decision, since there isn't a default sword. One option could be to create one, having a simple 65 damage melee weapon, but with the extended range with the swords. But this will complicate things, as certain Demoknight weapons, such as the half Zatoichi, lack a proper downside if you are running them on full Demoknight. So we should make an existing sword the stock melee weapon, but which one should it be? The half Zatoichi as previously mentioned seems like a strong candidate since it has no downside. However, this weapon is currently shared with the soldier and has its unique instant kill mechanic, making it a bit too complicated for a stock melee weapon. Perhaps we can make the Eyelander, the most iconic sword, a new stock melee weapon. But its minus 25 max HP penalty and its unique snowballing mechanic also makes it too complicated for a stock melee weapon. The Scotsman's Skullcutter is just a bit too basic. Its slower movement speed would be counteractive to the other base kit for Demoman, making it again not suitable for stock. And finally, the Claydomore's damage vulnerability would make it a poor choice for stock as well. This would leave the Persian Persuader as the best option in my opinion. It has no inherent downside when fully committing to Demoknight playstyle, and instead of listing its ability to recharge the charge meter with ammo boxes as an upside, if this were to be turned into the stock weapon, it would be treated as a downside for all the other swords, as they would lack this ability. Having the stock melee weapon allow the Demoknight to recharge the charge meter with ammo kits makes it more reliable as a class, so I believe this would be the best option for the stock melee weapon if this were to be a completely new class to begin with. And so if this were to have happened, how would this affect how the Demoknight would be functioned today? Well, it would see the removal of the Bottle Knight playstyle and the Caver Knight, since these 2 weapons would be strictly for the Demoman. While a bit sad, nothing of value is truly lost. These playstyles are pure memes, and just no. A real issue arises when we look at the primary slot. While making the boots the stock weapon makes sense, the Demoknight has no other options for this slot. If this class were to exist today, it would have 0 primary unlocks. Now, it does have the bootlegger, however this is just a reskin, and the base jumper, while it could be used potentially, it wouldn't be useful at all. Now, if the Knight were to have been its own class, when the bootlegger was added, I'm sure they would have made it a completely new weapon instead of just a reskin, So let's think about that. How would the bootlegger differentiate from the booty? The potential idea I've had would be to make it a speed option. Rather than the plus 25 HP, we could boost the speed a little bit more, potentially making it 15% or maybe even 20%, differentiating it just slightly. Now, having only 2 item slots still isn't ideal, but Spy gets away with it, so it's morally acceptable. So now that we've discussed the Knight class, let's figure out how it would actually impact the rest of the game, specifically the Demo Man. If we turn Demoknight into its own class, what would happen to the Demo Man? Without access to sword and shield, he would rely solely on the grenade launcher and sticky bombs. This would make him more focused on his explosives, and we won't see much change from the regular Demo Man playstyle, since all the Knight weapons were designed for Demoknight. While functionally, the Knight class won't be any different to how Demoknight plays today, it could have brought a whole new character into the Team Fortress 2 world. And imagine just how hype that would have been. The 10th class added to Team Fortress 2. This could have set a precedent too, allowing a gateway for more classes to be added in the future. Of course, I would never expect to see this change done today, or many years ago. If this wasn't done the very day Demoknight had been released, I do not see it happening. This is just a cool what-if scenario. And of course, part of what I love about Team Fortress 2 is the half-and-half loadouts, such as the Hybrid Knight. This playstyle blends the 2 different playstyles of the Demo Man's explosives and the Demoknight's melee combat, and it thrives on versatility. By keeping a grenade launcher alongside a shield and sword, Hybrid Knight can engage in multiple ranges, offering a mix of aggression and explosive utility. The mixture and the decision with your loadouts is part of Team Fortress 2's identity. And in retrospect, I am glad that we never got new characters added. Like, could you imagine a new character being added every few months that completely breaks the meta and completely changes how the game works and ruins all your favourite characters and weapons, making them out completely obsolete? That would be absolutely chaos, wouldn't it? So while we are on this topic, let's close off by thinking, just for fun, what other subclasses in TF2 could have had the opportunity to become their own classes? The Battle Engineer, for example, has quite a distinct playstyle towards the traditional engineer, but it's only based on 1 weapon, and is more of a mindset change than an actual loadout change. And of course, there is the idea of the Fat Scout, essentially a heavy using a shotgun, and to that I simply say no. The only subclass left would be the Trolldier, using the rocket jumper in the primary, the Mantras in the secondary, and of course, the Market Gardener as the melee. The Trolldier is all about movement, creativity, and chaos. With these tools, this playstyle focuses on rocket jumping around the map, stomping enemies with the Mantras, and trying to land those perfect Market Gardener kills. The Trolldier is the only other subclass in the game which actually uses all 3 item slots, while also having a distinct enough playstyle that would warrant it being its own class entirely. However, it doesn't have any unlock potential. You could potentially replace the Mantras with the base jumper, if you're a little. Without additional weapons or abilities to flesh it out further, it would be difficult to turn the Trolldier into a full class. It's a blast to play, but it doesn't quite have the substance needed. While this was a fun concept to explore, I'm glad that TF2 never went down this route. The beauty of the game lies within its flexibility of combining weapons and letting players create their own playstyle based on these weapons. It's far more rewarding than just simply adding a brand new character. Did I get anything wrong? Disagree with my opinions? Think I missed something? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video or found it interesting, consider giving it a like, sharing it, and possibly even subscribing. And thank you for getting to the end.